Hello KFC Supercoaches and welcome to round 3. The teams have just dropped and there are a number of shocks. Let's run through who to buy, hold and sell. Wade Egan is the most purchased player this week, and it makes some sort of sense definitely after this try on the weekend. He's got a whole bunch of attacking stats over the first 2 rounds, but that's the issue for me. Are his scores inflated? His minutes are around that 60 mark, and of course, the big shock in the teams today was that Brandon Smith was named, and of course, Brandon Smith is the guy who most people are selling to get to Wade Egan, so that may change things. Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow is a guy who I badmouthed all pre-season. I said that the Dolphins couldn't score tries and that Tabuai-Fidow didn't have the work rate. He's proved both of those wrong, so you can definitely get on, and he is set for a $90K price rise according to KFC SuperCoach Plus. Moving on to Jacob Kiraz, we knew he was a SuperCoach gun with his tackle busting and his work rate, but this game against the Storm, he had no right to score that try. He's busted through at least 3 tackles there, 13 tackle busts for the game in all. This guy is a SuperCoach beast. His game is perfectly suited to SuperCoach, so you can get him in at a pretty decent price. Moving on to Jacob PRESTON, also at the Bulldogs. The thing with him is that he's bottom dollar, but he's starting in the forward pack on the edge there for the Bulldogs. He's been talked up big time by Phil Gould. I think his job security is really good, even with Tavita Pangai Jr. due back into that team. So get on Jacob PRESTON. I think he is the buy of the week. Moving on to Jermaine Hopgood. This guy you simply have to own. He's the closest thing we have seen to Corey Parker in SuperCoach. So just get him in. There's no point second guessing it. You should have him already, but if you don't, get him in. Let's go now to the holds. I have no idea why people are selling James Tedesco or Nathan Cleary. Tedesco is the best fullback in SuperCoach for the last half decade. Cleary is pretty similar in that halfback position. Of course, he does have the bye this week, and I know that both of them have started the season relatively slowly, but in any case, you're in for the long haul on those 2 guys. Jackson Ford, I've got on the hold list. He got knocked out on the weekend and unfortunately hasn't been named this round. So I could see why people would sell. Look, if he wasn't knocked out last week, he would have been set for a pretty serious price rise. So I'm going to play the long game on him, as I am with Chance Nickel-Klokstad, another Warrior who was knocked out over the weekend. Looks like he's going to be running for about 20 runs per game. So he's got a really good base for a fullback, and I think there are plenty of price rises to come, even though he hasn't been named this week. Tanner Boyd is a tough one for me. David Fifita shifting to the other side of the field obviously doesn't help him. I've got him as a hold for now. You could downgrade to a cheapie like Braden Trindle, but I don't think Braden Trindle's job security is particularly good with Nico Hines due back next week. So for me, Tanner Boyd is a hold. Let's go to the sells. Look, I've still got Brandon Smith on the sell list, even though he has been named. I can totally see why you'd go to Wade Egan or Reed Marnie, or definitely go to Harry Grant if you have that much money. But it has changed a little bit following this news in the teams that Brandon Smith has been named despite that back injury last week. Kalen Ponga, unfortunately, he is out probably long-term with this concussion. It's just a sickening blow, and our best wishes to Kalen Ponga. Moving on to Tommy TALAU, hasn't quite produced as a cheapie in the back line. You're looking at an average of, 15 over those first 2 rounds. So if you can sell to someone like Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, then certainly lock it in. And then finally, Matt Burton, very popular during the pre-season, but unfortunately hasn't quite lived up to expectations there. So I think he does need to go, along with someone like Scott Drinkwater, who is out for 3 games. So one of the most popular sells this week. That's it for Buy, Hold, Sell. We'll catch you for the Game Day podcast, 11 a.m. Thursday. See you then.